What's going on, you guys? All right, we got some stuff to talk about here. Things just got a little more interesting for the Canadiens before the trade deadline. We are just days away. The Canadiens have one game remaining before the NHL trade deadline against the Edmonton Oilers on Thursday. The first 5-game win streak right now for the Canadiens since 2022 after Martin St. Louis took over as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. So the question I have for you guys tonight, it's very, very simple. Are you convinced? Are you really convinced that the Montreal Canadiens have a chance to make a run? I'm not even saying make the playoffs right now. I'm saying make a run to stay in the mix until the bitter end of this season. Are you convinced that they're there? Or do they need help? I think they need help. Very much so. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But let's talk about this game first. And let's talk about the game I was at on Saturday really quickly because it was awesome. My nephew Carter and I got to go see the Canadiens and Sabres. We won again in Buffalo because that's what we do when we go there most times. The Canadiens do. I've seen a lot more wins than losses in the Buffalo Sabres arena. It's gone through like 3 different names over the years since we've been there. The HSBC arena, Marine Midland was the first one, KeyBank Center, you name it, center. Okay, so we got to meet some Canadiens players, Nick Suzuki, Arbor Jackeye, and my nephew's new favorite player, Christian Dvorak. I got to tell you guys really quickly, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because we got a lot more important things to talk about right now, but I got to apologize to Christian Dvorak because he is one of the nicest human beings I think we've ever met. My nephew wouldn't stop talking about him after the game, how awesome he is, because he was a genuinely amazing human being. He thanked my nephew for being able to sign his jersey because Christian Dvorak isn't a fan favorite. I mean, let's just say it like it is. He's not Nick Suzuki. He's not Cole Caulfield. He's not Arbor Jackeye. You know, like he's not Lane Hudson. He's not Ivan Demidov, who isn't even here yet. Like he's a guy that just is trying to do his job and play out the end of his contract. We'll see what happens. But hats off to Christian Dvorak. He's amazing. He's a great guy. I just got to say he was awesome. And so was Christian's girlfriend, too. Nick Suzuki, by the way, remembered who I was from this interview, which you can't see on the back wall, but I've said it a billion times. He actually remembered me. I was shocked, actually, because I don't think he would lie. It didn't seem like he was lying. He seemed genuine. So Arbor Jackeye, he was awesome, too. And my nephew said to him that he's like, you could have taken Jordan Greenway. You could have taken him in a fight. They just ended up wrestling at the end of the game. All right, let's fast forward and talk about this game tonight. Okay, so the Canadiens, 3-goal leads have not been very safe this season. It's pretty safe to say that 3-goal leads in hockey are probably the worst lead to have unless you're just a top-tier team that knows how to hang on to a lead for an entire game. I'd like to meet you because those teams are few and far between. But that being said, the Canadiens do blow the 3-goal lead to the Sabres tonight. Thankfully, Mike Matheson, everyone's favorite defenseman on the Canadiens, got the winning goal. He decided to shoot, which was an excellent choice, and he beat James Reimer to seal the deal for the Habs and get their 5th win in a row. So, in this game, Lane Hudson, let's go to the scoreboard here. Let's talk about this game specifically just for a minute or two, and then we're going to talk about the deadline because that's what the focus is right now. The Canadiens they're in it. They're in the mix. They wanted to be in it. They're in it. It's March, and here they are. They're 1 point out of a wild card spot right now. Okay, so this game tonight, Cole Caulfield gets his 30th goal of the season. Hats off to this guy, Cole Caulfield, for the first time in his NHL career. This is a career high. Every goal from this point out till the end of the season will be a new career high for Cole Caulfield for single goals in a single season. So he is at 30 right now for the first time, which is great. Nick Suzuki gets a shorthanded goal assisted by Mike Matheson. Another great play from both of them. Nick electing to shoot on that play. And then Juraj Slafkovsky on the power play. And I didn't mention that Cole Caulfield's goal was also a power play goal. Nick Suzuki, again, first star tonight. Again, he got the Molson Cup for the best player nominated by the Canadiens for the month of February, so he got that honor, of course. Slafkovsky with his 11th goal. Lane Hudson is playing outstanding. He's leading all rookies in the NHL. He's actually, I think I saw a stat. I'm going to pull it up here for you guys. I'm going to pull it up right now. I think it was that he was actually 4th in scoring for defensemen in the entire NHL. I'm actually going to read it to you right now from Anthony Martineau. With 2 assists in the first, Lane Hutson is currently the 4th most productive defenseman in the NHL, tied with Adam Fox, who is now on injured reserve, ahead of Hedman, Bouchard, and Morrissey. You read that right. So that's pretty outstanding for a rookie. He's going to give Matvei Michkov a run for his money, let me tell you. And the other rookies too, but we're not going to get into that right now. So that being said, again, folks, I mean, this game wasn't pretty. I don't think the game against the Sharks was that pretty either. Even Saturday night in Buffalo, watching it in person, got to say Patrick Laine in person, not that inspiring. I was pretty disappointed a little bit. I hope he's a lot faster next year. I just think he needs to move his feet more. He's so stagnant on the power play. I know he scores his goals, but man, I want to see him move his feet more. I just want to see him move his feet more. That's all I want to say about Patrick Laine right now. Owen Beck is doing a solid job. Got to catch up with him. And again, it was nice to see him again after interviewing Owen a couple years ago. And he's doing his job pretty nicely between Alex Newhook and Patrick Laine right now. But I believe here's where we're at. The Canadiens need help. And this was a 4-point night. I can't put that away. Nick Suzuki, by the way. Let's give him a shout out. I got the jersey right here. Hats off to Nick. He's our captain. And I got to tell you, just talking with Nick Suzuki in person, he's the most unassuming person ever. Like, you just wouldn't think of him as an NHL player. He's so humble, down to earth. Hockey players are different now. They're just different. They're just one of us. I don't know. It's just a different vibe. But Nick Suzuki's our captain. He's playing outstanding right now. More than a point per game player. Just wanted to throw that in there. So what the Canadiens need right now is some help. And a team that is a lock for the playoffs, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, dare I say it, the Florida Panthers, out west, the Dallas Stars, the Vegas Golden Knights, teams like that, the Colorado Avalanche, teams that are a lock to make the playoffs are going to be in the rental market, which means players that are on expiring contracts that they are going to take on in a trade at the deadline for the remainder of the season and the playoffs, and then maybe that's it. That's a rental. But I don't know that the Canadiens are actually going to be able to be in the rental market. Maybe. But I'm just going to flat out say it. I'm going to get right to the chase here, what I'm getting at. Kent Hughes said, when asked after his just before or just after his trip to go visit Ivan Demidov in Russia, he was asked if he's going to sign and play, if Ivan Demidov is going to sign with the Canadiens and play with them before the end of the season. Kent Hughes' answer was no. All right, so since I remembered that Google exists, I actually was able to look this up, and no, the Montreal Canadiens cannot sign Ivan Demidov early and get him here for a playoff run. Frank Saravalli actually had a tweet about this, that his contract will expire on May 31st, which means it's very, very, very unlikely that Demidov will get here unless the Canadiens go to the Stanley Cup this season. So that answers that question. At this point, you don't want to overspend on a rental for a Canadiens team that still might not make the playoffs. I still think they need help, but where's the help going to come from? There's a lot of interest in Jake Evans. If they move on from him, they need to get a player in return. They don't want picks and prospects anymore. Maybe prospects, but they want a sure thing. If they're going to make a trade for Jake Evans or Yoel Armia or David Savard, I think the value is really in Armia and Jake Evans right now. Maybe Josh Anderson again creeps up. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think it's definitely Jake Evans for his defensive play. He's solid on the penalty kill. He's trustworthy out there. I mean, I know they're going to try to look at trade options. I'm just not exactly sure what those options are. If they're going to stay in the mix till the end and actually be serious about actually making the playoffs, even if they just squeak in, it's still exciting. It's still positive. It's still good. It's still progressive. It's good for this team. But at what cost? They need help. I'm not convinced just yet. This Canadiens winning streak is great, but they barely beat San Jose. They barely beat Buffalo tonight. These teams are at the bottom, near the bottom. Ottawa was missing Brady Tkachuk and others. Carolina was a convincing win. I like that one. Now they're going to go play the best player in the world in the Edmonton Oilers, and that's the last game before the deadline. But have they proven enough that they deserve to get help at the deadline? What kind of help do you think they need? Thanks so much, guys. I've rambled on long enough. Go Habs, go, and we'll see you real soon.